welcome to a new vlog and trip report. Today we're taking a look at a railway line with a very special name. It's the Killer Valley Railway, and of course I will tell you later on a bit more about the name of the railway line. We are going from Gammertingen to Sigmaringen and then back to Gammertingen and on to Hechingen, and we can take a look at the arrival of my train. So my train today is another Lint 54 of the SWEG, and here we can see 3 trains at the same time at the station of Gammertingen, which is quite rare. Firstly, the train back in the direction of Engstingen left, and then the train to Hechingen left, and now we're also leaving the station in the other direction. We're going to Sigmaringen now. The railway line to Hechingen sees a train almost every hour. The railway line to Sigmaringen sees less trains. Trains are mainly running at school times and for workers. The landscape of this railway line is extremely beautiful. We are following the river Lauchert, crossing the river multiple times on our way to Sigmaringen. This is the same railway line like in the last video. It's the continuation of the railway line Engstingen-Sigmaringen. We have stops in Hechingen, Hermentingen, Feringenstadt, Feringendorf, Jungnau and Hanfertal before reaching Sigmaringen. So as you can see, the landscape is very beautiful. That's why I can highly recommend traveling on this railway line, especially in combination with the railway line we've seen in the last video. And the combination, this railway line, the one from the last video, and the Killer Valley railway line that we will see later on in the video, is only possible when you start with a train in Ulm at 9:21. And it's only possible on weekdays, as there are much less trains on the weekend. Here we've seen the passing of an oncoming train, and now we're going through the most interesting building of the railway line, the Feringen Tunnel. The Feringen Tunnel is only 91 meters long, but it's quite interesting because the tunnel is going directly through a rock, and right next to it there is another tunnel where a street is also going directly through the rock. Here we've seen the interior of the Lint 54. Of course, we have seen the train in a couple of videos before, so it's basically the same train. Soon we will reach the station Hanfertal, and there we have a connection to the so-called Lauchert Valley Railway, which is going from Hanfertal to Bingen and Lauchertal, and then at Sigmaringdorf it's reaching the railway line between Sigmaringen and Ulm. But unfortunately at the moment there are no passenger trains on this railway line, so at the moment it's not possible for me to show you this railway line. Instead we are then turning to the right and reaching Sigmaringen just a few minutes later. Here we are at the station Hanfertal, which is also a modern station with 2 tracks, and here we are now turning to the right, heading directly to Sigmaringen. The railway line is now getting quite steep. We're going downhill and soon we will cross the Danube. Here we can see the bridge over the Danube and the river itself. We're crossing the river quite slowly so we can enjoy the beautiful view, and directly behind the bridge is the station of Sigmaringen, where this train ends, and I'm then taking the next train directly back to Gammertingen and on to Hechingen. But it was not the same train, so I have to leave the train here in Sigmaringen and wait a couple of minutes until the next one is coming. But it will also be a Lint 54, so once again the same train we have now seen in a couple of videos. Here we are in Sigmaringen, and here I'm leaving the train to wait for the train back to Gammertingen and on to Hechingen. So here we are leaving Sigmaringen in the direction of Hechingen, and I'm staying on the train all the way to the end in Hechingen, even though that's not quite typical to do, because there is a different route from Sigmaringen to Hechingen, which is much faster. That's the train that is going via Albstadt and Balingen. But as I want to show you this very beautiful railway line, of course, I'm traveling now with this train. Here we can see the Lauchert Valley railway line, so we are back at the station Hanfertal. And for now, we're using the same railway line like in the beginning of the video, so we can enjoy the beautiful scenery once again, crossing the river Lauchert multiple times on our way back to Gammertingen. Here we can see the tunnel in Fehringstadt going through the rock. We can also see the tunnel right next to it. And shortly after we are reaching Hechingen, where we can also see a castle above the town. Here we are in Hechingen, you can see the castle in the background, and now we're going through the tunnel of Hechingen, and then just a few minutes later we are reaching Gammertingen again, where we started this video. There we also have the company grounds of the SWEG, that's where the first train came from, but we are now continuing on from there to Hechingen. Here in Gammertingen you then sometimes have the chance to change for a train in the direction of Trochtelfingen, Engstingen, Münsingen, Schelklingen and Ulm. But as you learned in the last video, there are only a handful of trains on this railway line. So here we are in Gammertingen, and now we're leaving the railway line, continuing on a new railway line, the railway line Hechingen-Gammertingen, also called Hohenzollern Railway, Zollernalb Railway or Killer Valley Railway. We're still gaining some altitude till we reach Gammertingen Europastraße and the Gammertinger Tunnel, and then we reach the highest point of the railway line at 726 meters, and then we're going all the way down to Hechingen. We're then stopping at Neufra, Gauselfingen, Burladingen West, Hauseln, Staatzeln, Killer, Jungingen, Schlatt, and then we are reaching Hechingen. And now I can finally tell you why this railway line is called Killer Valley Railway. The valley obviously is called the Killer Valley, but it has nothing to do with killing somebody. The name is much less spectacular than you would think. Here we are in Burladingen and can listen to the sound of the train once again.
Nächster Halt, Killer. Der Zug hält nur bei Bedarf. Bitte betätigen Sie die Haltewunschtaste. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
So here we are at the village Killer, which is giving the name to the valley. Here in Killer was the parish that was in charge for the whole valley, and that's why the valley is named after that village. There is no river called Killer. The river is actually the Staatzel, so it would be the Staatzel Valley, but it was named after this small village because the parish is there, so it is the Killer Valley Railway. And the name Killer came from the word Kilvila, which is a mixture of the German words Kirche, which means church, and Weiler, which means hamlet. As I said, it's a mixture, so from Kirche and Weiler it was mixed to Kilvilar, and that was shortened to Killer, so it has nothing to do with the English word killer. We've just crossed the railway line between Sigmaringen and Tübingen, and now we are reaching Hechingen. Here we could go to the station Hechingen Landesbahn, which we have seen in the Eyach Valley Railway video, but we are going to the actual station of Hechingen, where you then have direct connections. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, or share the video link, and hope to see you in my next video then.